Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Monday. It's time for Mondays with Monty. I am Montgomery, and this is a very special episode of Mondays with Monty because today I am giving away 4 Riot Point codes. That's right. I am shamelessly shilling my show by selling out to the gods of Mammon and Lucre and giving away prizes and that sort of thing to try to get the word out about this show. So here's how this is actually going to work. Throughout the show, I'm going to ask League of Legends trivia questions, and the first person to correctly answer in Twitch chat will win one of these Riot Point codes. So make sure you've got a Twitch login, put on your thinking cap, pull out your encyclopedic knowledge of League of Legends, and you'll have a chance to win one of these. Now before we begin, and so that I can give you some time to scurry along and potentially get a Twitch TV account, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, what this show is about, what I'm trying to accomplish, and what you can expect. As I said before, I am Montgomery. I've been playing League of Legends for about 2.5 years now, and I've been playing video games for 10 times that amount. I'm actually fairly old, and 25 years of gaming experience, and that's what I'm bringing to the table here. An analytical mind, a little bit of good cheer, and I'm hoping I can help you get better at this game and just have a fun time watching me dance in front of a camera on the web. So I'm going to be sitting down, analyzing some games, some replays, trying to give you some tips so that when you go back out there into solo queue or normals, or even ARMs and whatever suits your fancy, you can do better, you can be better, and you can have fun. That's the goal. I'm doing this show every week at the same time, same bat channel, every week. That's 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. West Coast, and if you happen to live in the Central Zone like me, that's 8 p.m. So, without further ado, I would like to actually go for the first trivia question of the night. I'll be giving away this Riot Point code. When and if you happen to be that lucky winner, I will send the code to you through Twitch chat, which is why it's so important that you have a Twitch account, because if you don't have one, I can't give you one. You can't even answer in this chat. There aren't a whole slew of you right now, but this will be an easy one. I think you can handle it. And this is the first trivia question of the day. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? I hope you're ready, because here it is. I'm watching chat. Miss Q, my ever-faithful moderator, is watching chat. And the question is, how long is Baron's respawn timer? It's an easy one, guys. It's an easy one. It's been answered. Very, very close call. And you reset the chat too fast, Miss Q. You reset the chat too fast. I saw who it was. It was Aethery Altenken. My ever-faithful moderator trying to sabotage my efforts. Miscue number 1, but I saw that. I know who it was. It was Aethery Altenken. I cannot pronounce his name to save my life. Write that down in the logs. Here is a pen. I am... Oh, that was great. That was fantastic. Hopefully we will not have that sort of technical difficulty going forward, but that was all in good fun. I barely managed to catch that. We'll be a little bit more careful next time. Anyway, congratulations, you've won the first of these 4 Riot Point cards, and we're going to move on to the show proper without further ado. So, the subject for today, all merriment aside, is the mid-game transition. And the mid-game transition is important because starting off the mid-game on the right foot gives you an advantage that gives you a better chance at victory. We actually saw this over the past few weekends during the Season 3 qualifiers in both North America and in Europe. The teams that had a little bit of a lead, that had taken the first dragon or the first tower, they were the teams that statistically had the best chance of winning. There were actually some infographics and stuff that came out. It was really cool to look at. And while you do have to account a little bit for the fact that some of these teams were just a heck of a lot better than others, even then, it's still a statistically significant finding, and it's something that we can try to apply in our games. Unfortunately for us, the mid-game happens to be fairly difficult to understand. There's no set time when it happens. It's not like minion spawn, where there's a nice big announcement for all of us to pay attention to. It's not like that. We just have to guess. It could fall anywhere between 10 minutes, if it's a really fast game, or it could drag out to 25 minutes or more if it's a slower paced game. And that makes it very difficult for players like you and I to figure out, this is the time that we should be grouping. This is the time that we should be making things happen. And that shows up a lot in solo queue. For example, how often have you heard one of the following phrases? Stick together, people. Guys, we gotta group up, guys. Don't go out alone. Those sorts of phrases are probably pretty common. You encounter them a lot. And when does it happen? Typically immediately after the entire enemy team showed up in one of the lanes, horribly, brutally murdered whoever was there, took a turret, and may have now moved on to another turret or to dragon or something else important. And only now do you realize, too late, that, I guess the mid-game started. And so what I'm going to hopefully try to do today is try to help you be a little bit better about identifying when you need to watch out for those sorts of things, when you need to be prepared to group up yourself, when you should just give up on your tower and go help the team. That's what we're going to be focused on today. So here are a couple tips that I'm going to give at the start and that you can keep in mind as we watch a few replays later. And the first tip is probably something you've heard a million times before, but again, this is ever true in everything. Wards are your friends. Wards are these amazing things that give you vision of the map. They let you see when your enemies are coming. They let you see what's going on. And most importantly, they can really help you not die when the enemy team is moving to try to take your turret. Even if everybody else in your team is a complete doofus and has decided that wards are completely unnecessary when they obviously are, when you have wards to protect you, at the very least, if the whole enemy team shows up in your lane, they won't complain that you died. They might be jerks and be like, oh, you lost your tower. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Everybody's here and you're not. But at least you didn't die, and that means that if they want to go take another turret, or a dragon, or something like that, they have to keep thinking, you know what, that bottom lane duo, they're still alive, maybe they can come stop us. They have to have that awareness and that concern, and maybe it's still bad, you lost your turret, you really didn't want to, but at the very least, you didn't die as well, and nobody's going to be like, well, that guy didn't see that coming. So that's the first point, and the second point is, watch the lanes to see where the towers are going to fall, who is feeding, or who is being fed. It doesn't matter if it's your team that's having the advantage or the enemy team. You want to pay attention to which towers are going to fall first or have already fallen, because those are the lanes which are most likely to start roaming on both sides. Because if your ally is pushing up to their second turret, they're in a dangerous position. So what are they going to do? Well, they're going to try to make something happen elsewhere where they're not potentially going to get attacked by 3 people. Meanwhile, when their opponent had pushed up to your tower, what are they going to do? Well, that's a dangerous position as well, because their tower's gone. So they're going to try to roam and make things happen. So if you're watching for when these towers fall and can anticipate that, you can see where and when people are going to be coming from. It's a little tough, a little bit harder to remember than wards, but it's something fairly simple that you can pay attention to. Is that tower gone? That tower's gone. Those people might be roaming. So we're going to start looking at a few replays. And I'm going to try to demonstrate these things through these replays, just do a little bit of analysis, try to point out how to identify when the mid-game's going to happen, to see the first signs of it, so just try to eke it out. It's not going to be easy. This is a difficult subject, so don't feel bad if a lot of this is just a little complicated or hard and not really sinking in. This is not easy. Even really good players get caught off guard when suddenly the enemy team groups up. That's okay. You know what? We're not all CLG level players. We're not all crazy new. What's the name of the new CLG EU? I forget. Gambit Gaming, that's correct. We're not at that level. That's okay. So we're going to look at this first replay. And here we are. We can see we've got 2 teams. We've got the blue team here, fairly standard looking composition, tanky people, AD carries, and AP. Same deal on the red team. This is me here on Monte, that's my account, and our ever technically skilled moderator Miscue is here on Caitlyn. In any case, we're not going to spend all of our time looking at the early game because who cares about the early game? We're interested in the mid-game. We're going to skip ahead to about the 10-minute mark here, and we're going to take stock of how the game is going. So let's look. Evil geniuses, I am wrong. I'm thinking of the... I'm sorry, I have misinformed you all. But I'm going to move on right ahead, steamroll forward, and if we look at this game here, this is a very even game. This is a 5-to-5 kill game. The gold values are very close. Basically, all of these assists on this red team are pulling things a little bit ahead of this blue team. Nothing too crazy is going on here, but it's a fairly close game. And if we look at the health of the turrets, we can see that there's not a whole lot of damage being done to them. They're all very hale and hearty. Nothing exciting. So in any case, what we're looking for here is how do we know when the mid-game is going to start? And in a game like this, where things are very close, that's hard to tell. I mean, this gold gap is less than 600 gold here. It's very close. So how do we know where the mid-game is going to start? Well, we really don't. It's kind of difficult. Maybe this jungle Elise will make something happen. She's going to try to gank this Ahri here. Will that potentially be a play that allows them to finally push this mid turret? Well, she missed her stun, and it looks like Ahri is... well, she's getting away, and there's the Ahri ult. She does escape. Annie did not quite have Tibbers yet or her stun ready, so Ahri is safe and sound. No play happened. Nothing big going on here. Unfortunately, the mid-game stalemate has not yet been broken, but we are seeing the first inklings. Why? Look who is middle. It's Renekton. Shen is ulting in, and we have a 2v2 brawl going on here. Annie looks like she's going to fall, but there's the Tibbers. It takes out Ahri. Annie goes down. It's now Shen versus Renekton, but I have arrived on jungle Vi. I am trying to beat the snot out of Renekton, but here is Elise. She lands her stun, keeping me off of Renekton. I dash in, getting some damage on him. He goes over the wall. Clever Renekton. An Ezreal ult comes through. Does not hit Shen, but Elise finishes him off. I get Elise, and here's something I would like to pause for just a moment to point out. I'm working under the assumption that he can't see me in this bush. But what's right here? A ward. All it's going to take for me to kill him is a quick auto E reset combo, and this little 100 health he has will disappear in an instant. Unfortunately, he got his stun off and murdered me because there was a ward in this bush. This ward, placed by our deceased Annie over here, was all that was necessary for this Renekton to actually pull that fight to a victory condition. They only lost 2 people, we lost 3. This actually pulled the gap even closer. And again, though, no towers were pushed. It's just a very even game. So again, still nothing has really happened to start up this mid-game that we're looking for. We saw a little bit of an inkling. Why? Because this Renekton, he's confident enough in his pushing power against this Shen that he was able to push up to this turret, get a bunch of damage on it, and then roam mid. And Shen had to use his ultimate to keep up. And so we can start to look and see, maybe this is where action is going to start. This Renekton is going to probably push into this tower again and keep roaming, try to keep things happening. And hopefully soon, the mid-game will start. But it's only 13 minutes in the game. Maybe it'll take us to the 25th minute. We don't know. We're not Hotshot GG or anybody from Azubu Blaze. We're just middling silver to maybe low platinum players. Who knows? We just are trying to learn this. We're trying to get better. So we can see that Ahri tried to roam bottom, but because Caitlyn was back, nothing happened there that time. But because Ahri pushed out first, and these are big cannon minion waves, she's able to come back, and she missed all of 1 melee creep. Not a big loss. This Janna is standing still under her turret. That's not really a good idea because it makes you an easy target for a Leona ultimate. Janna goes down, but because of a well-placed trap and some turret shots, Leona is in dire straits. And there's the Caitlyn ultimate, and because Ezreal used his ultimate, Leona dies a horrible, painful death. Ezreal has no mana. Is he going to escape? There's the flash. And that was a 1 support for 1 support trade. It doesn't, it looks fairly even. I mean, Ezreal got out alive, Caitlyn got out alive, but here's something very important. While that was going on bottom, I actually ganked Renekton top along with Shen. If we just rewind a little bit, we can see here that here's Renekton pushing up to the turret. He's got double buffs. He's pretty confident that he can beat the snot out of this Shen. But this ward here did not give him enough warning of my arrival because he was too pushed up. He dives into me for no explicable reason. I get the ultimate off. There's the taunt, and Renekton's ultimate is not enough to keep him alive. So, because things have happened both bottom and top, what is this jungle Elise to do? Elise is the jungler, and normally it's her job to cover for lanes that have to go back or have died, and both of these lanes, top and bottom, are in that condition. Elise naturally goes to the closer lane, but this is a little bit of a problem because Caitlyn is still very hale and hearty. She is healing up. She's got potions. She's got Bloodthirster. She doesn't have boots for some reason, but she's still in a position where she can keep pushing. And because she sees that Elise is top, she's not worried at all. Annie's mid, Elise is top, Renekton was just dead, Leona was just dead, Ezreal went back. She doesn't have a care in the world. So what's she going to do? She's going to push this turret. And you can see that because she has so much AD at this point, this turret is getting the beating of its life. It's actually looking like it's going to go down. Can Ezreal get here in time? It doesn't look like he's going to make it. There's the AD shield from Janna. He dives in, throws his damage out, and all of a sudden we realize that this is a bad position to be in. Why? Well, walking past two wards in plain sight are myself and this Ahri, and all of a sudden Ezreal is alone without a tower. The whole team is appearing bottom. This is that point where somebody's about to say, guys, we gotta group up. Why? Because this Ezreal is about to meet a horrible, horrible, painful death, and Leona has unfortunately decided to hook onto Ahri and is in a similarly bad position. Oh my goodness, that was painful. And so what's this team going to do? What is red team going to do? Well, we're going to take Dragon. Why not? Bottom team's dead. Elise was top. Annie is pushing middle, but who cares about that? We can always send Ahri to deal with her. Let's just take care of this dragon. Easy peasy, no problem whatsoever. Dragon's going down, and all of a sudden, what happened? What happened in this game? Well, the mid-game happened. There wasn't a whole lot of warning. There wasn't a whole lot of time for blue team to prepare, but suddenly, all of red team was bottom except for Shen, who, because he has an ultimate, could have been considered bottom as well. He was fine pushing top. But red team was bottom, they took out a turret, they took out a dragon, and now they're shifting mid. This tower was probably dead anyway, but it has unfortunately fallen. They've managed to save mid tower. They're applying a little bit of pressure here. Ezreal, however, being the smart and kind teamworky player he is, has decided that it's in his best interest to help stave off the attack mid. However, there was no longer a ward in this bush. He did not see me in there. Shen ults. This Annie is probably going to die as well. She tries to flash away. The Shen taunt does not land, but that's not enough to save Annie. Now Renekton's trying to beat us up. The Caitlyn ult comes in. Renekton tries to get away, but the flash from myself has managed to pick him up. Leona's like, wait a second, I don't really want to be here. Goes back to the tower, and we have the mid-game. It's the mid-game. All of a sudden, teams are grouping up, things are happening, plays are being made, turrets are being pushed, and what happened? Just one small thing went wrong bottom. Leona died, Ezreal took too much damage and had to go back, Caitlyn did not, and suddenly turrets fell, dragons went down, and the action is going crazy. And Janna is inexplicably pushing top. I'm a little confused as to that move, but we're just gonna roll with it. Things are still happening mid, and now there's a little bit of a favor for blue team. There are more of them here than there are red players, but Ahri's on her way. I'm very close by with the wolves. I'm probably just going to finish this up and head mid. But look at this. All of blue team is coming mid. They have listened to the call to stick together, to group up, and Janna is inexplicably top. Shen has had to go back because he got poked down. I decided to attack this Elise, and what was my mistake? Well, we did not have wards in these bushes. We had wards around, but because Renekton just kind of walked right into this bush like so, I had no idea what was going on, and so there are 5 people killing me, and I am going to die. Shut down gold to the enemy team. That is a horrible mistake. What a nub. Elise is alive, Renekton's alive, Leona's alive. Look at how low they are, and Janna is pushing top. 3 people on our team are dead. 3 of them are ever so close to dead. Maybe a Janna ultimate and a shield and her exhaust would have been helpful. I guess she's getting some damage down on this turret, but really, she was not the prime candidate for split pushing. And now Renekton, who has absolutely no fear of her with his 3 bars of health and his ultimate, is chasing her down. This is obviously not the best idea for Janna to have done. If she'd been middle, maybe she could have saved her team. This is that whole grouping up thing. Don't go out alone. Right now, that's what the team is yelling at this Janna. Renekton's like, okay, whatever, she's got to her turret. I don't care anymore. I'm just going to be a little cheeky and maybe try to sneak around if she's not going to be careful. Unfortunately, there is a jungler here. That's always a danger when you go out alone. All of a sudden, the enemy jungler who has invested in a phage and got a lucky proc, they'll get the kill, and now things are going bad for your team again. Towers will be pushed, and that's the mid-game. So let's just do a quick review. How did we know the mid-game was coming? Well, we had a few little inklings. We saw Renekton starting to roam. We saw some skirmishes happening mid, but really there was no clear indication it was going to happen until there were those 2 ganks, those 2 fights that happened at once. Renekton got killed in the top lane, Leona got killed in the bottom lane, Ezreal had to go back, and that's when everything started. Caitlyn pushed to that tower, and that was the only warning that blue team had. They did have some wards letting them know that all of red team was coming bottom to make something happen. Ezreal went forward to try to save the turret regardless. It ended in his death, it ended in Leona's death, and a whole crazy chain of events went off, which involved lots of fights, strange mistakes like Janna pushing towers. I can't say I've seen that too often, but hey, it's solo queue, or it's a team game, whatever, it's a normal. Something along those lines, crazy things happen. But wards, if Ezreal had paid attention to them, would have been extremely helpful in preventing him from dying needlessly. If he hadn't died, if he'd backed off rather than trying to desperately save that turret, he would have been alive. And would we have been able to push Dragon? Probably not. Annie was around, Elise was around. Renekton could have changed directions. Shen ultimate, I don't know if it was up. It would have been a little dangerous. We would not have been able to go for it. So that is our first example of how the mid-game, and especially in a very close game, can just suddenly appear and just come out of nowhere and surprise you. So now that we have gone over that replay, I'm going to give away another Riot Point code. So I'm going to ask that Ms. Q not bother to clear the chat. I was expecting maybe, on the off chance, a bajillion people wanting Riot Point codes. I don't really have a bajillion people. I think we can handle not having a cleared chat. We're just going to go with who's there right now. Just keep it simple. We'll try to avoid any more technical mishaps. So if you are all ready, and I'd like to remind you, log into Twitch chat if you have not already, because that's the only way you're going to be able to answer me in Twitch chat. This is, if you're not in Twitch chat, how can you answer me in Twitch chat? Because that's the only way I can hear you. You can yell as loud as you want. I'm wearing headphones that have sound dampening. I'm not going to hear you. So here is the second question. And the second question is, how many wards can be stacked in a single item slot? Oh, and the first person to answer correctly looks to be PK Slayer Bro. PK Slayer Bro has answered 5. That is the correct answer. 99 is not correct. That's a pretty interesting answer. I quit is not the right answer. I am giving away multiple. I have 4 of them here. 2 of them are now already spoken for. PK Slayer Bro and somebody whose name I cannot even hope to pronounce have already won them. There will be 2 more being given away later on in the show after the next replay. That will be hopefully really fun. I'm shaking my professional status under. I'm not professional. I'm just a hobbyist. I'm doing this because I love you guys. I want to help you improve. I want to see you guys become really great at this game. I would be absolutely ecstatic if at some point some new professional player goes out there and is like, when I was learning League of Legends, I learned everything from Monte. He is some crazy nerd out there. I don't know. But I learned things from him. That would make me ecstatic. So, all merriment aside again, I'm going to move on to another replay. And this replay is a little different from the last one, because this replay does not have a super even game. This game is actually going to be horrifically lopsided. absolutely horrifically lopsided. So let's get to it. As you can see, again, this is me and Miscue in our misadventures in Duo Q Ranked. I really enjoy playing with him, my ever so technical and skilled moderator. He actually just plays pretty good Thresh, even though he sometimes makes questionable plays, but don't we all? And rather, again, than watch any boring early game shenanigans, because we're not concerned with that, once this replay loads all the way, we're going to go right ahead and skip to the 16.5-minute mark, and let's look at how the game looks. And immediately we can see that this is a complete and utter mess. The game is 11-4 in favor of the blue team. There's a 3,500 gold lead. Mid turret is already gone. Top turret has had the beating of its life. Bottom turret, it's okay. But none of the blue turrets even look like they've barely been scratched. These cars you could sell at a used car dealership saying, hey, look, these towers look new. So this game is kind of one-sided. Vladimir has been utterly beating the crap out of this Fizz, this poor, unfortunate Fizz who has been desperately trying to accomplish something. He's currently bottom fighting off this Ezreal. This is not an even game at all. So we can see some fighting going on here. Fizz is going to actually attack Ezreal. But before we actually look at the replay too much, we're actually going to pause and say, what should these teams be doing? What should these teams be doing? Well, right now, Vlad has pushed the crap out of this turret. It's gone. It's utterly, utterly gone. This turret, it's gonna get gone soon. It's pretty darn low. So what should blue team do? Well, right now, this Vlad, he doesn't really have any reason to be here. If he pushes, he's in a little bit of danger. So where should he be? He should be trying to make things happen, either in this top lane, where this tower is going to go down very soon, or in this bottom lane, where things are actually probably the most even. I mean, Fizz has been coming down here constantly. All of these kills are actually kills on other people. It's not this Vlad. I forget why this Vlad died. It was a long time ago. But so, he should roam and try to make something happen. Because, hey, you know, if he makes something happen bottom lane, they can maybe take this turret. They can maybe take Dragon. They can make some things happen. That's what blue team should be doing. They should be grouping. They should be pressing their advantage. They should be winning the game. And what should red team be doing? Well, red team should be trying to stop them. They should be watching for that kind of action. They should be shifting, grouping together whenever they see something about to happen. Galio does have teleport. I am smart like that. I can teleport in to try to make things happen, although I've already used it recently, it looks like. That's unfortunate. But red team should try to be reactive. They should try to just wait for things to happen and try to just prevent blue team from extending their advantage. And what we're going to see today is that neither team does anything remotely correct. That's right, this is not high ranked play. This is the 1300s where anything goes, and Vlad can just go and farm rather than push turrets or roam. Ezreal will die to a Fizz who is 3-5, now a 4-5. Alistar will run in, but he'll be fine. Why? Because he's Alistar and he can heal, and he's been maxing his heal first. And Fizz will get away. Vlad will just go back to farm, and this is the game we're dealing with here. We've got no grouping up whatsoever. It's 17 minutes in. A tower is down, and nobody is grouping up. Vlad just doesn't even care that this Nocturne is here. He's like, whatever, I'm Vlad, I'll just heal up. Who cares that Fizz has mysteriously vanished from bottom lane where he just got a kill? I'm just gonna keep farming, and oh, I guess I should probably run. And Vlad gets feared, and Fizz attacks him, and finally Vlad gets shut down. There goes the double buff, well, the one buff now to this Nocturne. He gets hit by Ezreal ult, not enough to kill him. And this is kind of nonsense. That Vlad should never have died. That Vlad should have been bottom or top and made something happen. I mean, Galio can kind of hold his own against a Mordekaiser, but once Mordekaiser is level 12 with Haunting Guys and Sork Shoes and Hextech Revolver and potions and crap, what's Galio going to do? What is Galio going to do? Galio will just keep trying to push and save his turret, but right now, you know what? This turret, it's only got 600, 700 health. It's not worth trying to save. This turret you kind of want to save, even though it's only got 600. You want to try to preserve those tier 2 turrets, but you know what? The enemy team's not grouping. I don't have anywhere to go. This is just... There's no action happening. Bottom lane's just bottom. Vlad's been mid the whole time. Shen's still jungling. What am I supposed to do? There's nowhere for me to group. I just need to keep farming, try to save this turret as best as I can. This is kind of This is kind of weird because everybody should be grouping. Everybody should be making things happen. Even red team, the jungler, should be trying to make plays, trying to make things happen. Fizz has inexplicably tried to kill a Vlad who has been murdering him this whole time, and there is kill number 6 on Fizz by Vladimir. Now Shen and Vlad are like, hey, you know what, let's push mid. They're the only people there. However, Nocturne has decided that the higher priority is not this turret, the higher priority is this Mordekaiser. He goes in on the Mordekaiser, I have no mana. Our second mid turret has fallen. Let's be clear here. This turret, still there. This turret, still there. This Mordekaiser getting a Shen ult, still dies. But this turret's down. They're pushing our freaking inhibitor turret. I mean, just... what is with this game? I mean, it's not even the whole team, it's just 2 guys. Why is nobody grouping up to stop this? Well, maybe eventually somebody will react. Fizz is now heading mid because that's all he has to do after he died. Nocturne looks like he might want to head mid. He's positioned for that. He's healing up. He's almost full. He's heading mid. I'm heading mid because screw this turret. I don't care anymore. It's only got 600 health. I'm not losing an inhibitor turret at this point. Thresh has left. Miscue, our intrepid Thresh, playing the new champion. He will also head mid, and all of a sudden, finally, somebody grouped up. I mean, this only should have happened 3 minutes ago. There's a tower down. Blue team should have been making plays. Instead, this Vladimir has again been caught out of position. Why? Because he was pushing mid when he could have been taking easier towers top and bottom. Vladimir dies. Shen is now out of position. Everybody gets hit by the Ezreal ultimate. Is Shen going to get away? It looks like he's safe, but then he inexplicably taunts Nocturne under the turret. That gives me the chance to just finish him off, and we've finally made a play happen. However, we're all too low on health to push this turret. Thresh is not exactly a match for an Ezreal in terms of pushing towers, so the mid tower on blue team is safe. But we finally, 3 or 4 minutes after it should have happened, finally had some grouping action going. But now we have the bravest Alistar in the land running into the enemy jungle without wards. He does not know what's going on, but hey look, he just found a Nocturne. He's going to jump on top of him, get the Pulverize. Ezreal finishes him off with some swagger. There's the exhaust from Miscue onto Ezreal. There is the box. Here is a brave Fizz who has not been exactly an asset. He rushed Lichbane. Maybe if he had a Rabadon's or a Needlessly Large Rod, that would have been a lethal attack, but instead, not so. He does get away using Thresh's Lantern. Alistar looks to be in trouble. Can they catch him? There is a Kog'Maw ultimate right on the mark, but that one not so much. The Ezreal ultimate goes in some random direction, trying to catch up Fizz, does not succeed. However, this Alistar is going to safely get away. Shen is going to come in and taunt Miscue. Will Miscue get away? Things are looking dire, but there's the Lantern keeping him alive. The timely slow from Kog'Maw also helping. Mordekaiser's like, hey, I can come mid, I can make things happen. This tower's gone, Galio's still up there. I'm like, oh crap, I gotta go mid again. And we're finally seeing action. We're finally seeing action, but it's just haphazard. Who's grouping? Who's doing what? Well, we've got 2-on-2 mid. If it was not for a timely teleport from yours truly, it would still be kind of awkward, but now all of a sudden, hey, we've got something again that resembles a group. It's at least close to a group. There's the fish. There's the Galio ultimate. Fizz gets away from the turret. Nocturne inexplicably takes damage from the turret. He is tanking it, and he realizes a little too late that he's the target. My Bulwark comes off cooldown a little too late to save him, but hey, we finally pushed a turret! Congratulations, Red Team. We've finally managed to accomplish something. The first accomplishment of the game. We are still 3,000 gold behind. At least we've evened up the kills a little bit, but golly gee willikers, Batman, this is absolutely horrifying to watch because nobody's grouping. Red Team is only grouping under duress. It's only when Blue Team is like a couple of them are just way overextended and nearly at this turret that Red Team's like, oh god, we should go in. If it was not even for the teleport, it would have been close to a 2v2 mid, eventually a 3v3 once Fizz arrived. It was just very, very awkward. We're going to go off and ward Baron, but basically what are we seeing? We're seeing a humongous mess. Who's grouping? Nobody's grouping. Blue team? Nope. Nowhere. Red team? Nope. We're all over the place. Where's the grouping? It's 23 minutes into the game. It's 23 minutes. Towers are falling all over the place. There are literally 4 towers down on Red team. There's no tower here. No tower here, no tower here, and no tower here. What should blue team be doing? They should be winning. They are taking dragon, but it's only 2 of them. This should be a team effort right here. It's not. It's just the bottom lane just being bottom lane. They might be a duo queue. And a little bit of 3v2 action here. Thresh and Fizz are smart enough to not try to fight that. Kog'Maw, he's going to take a few shots at this turret, but he is smart. He's got a good 6th sense. He is going to back the heck away because he knows that, hey, you know what? I don't know where half the team is. Let's not do anything dangerous. So, I'm up here pushing. Thresh is here, Nocturne's here. What the heck is going on? Nobody's grouped anywhere. Blue team should just be like, Kog'Maw was bottom. Let's push Baron. Nope, there's not even wards on Baron for blue team. We have a random Ezreal ult to stop me from recalling. I don't even know what's going on anymore. This is absolutely, positively insane. Mordekaiser's now top. Blue team has pinged middle. They're thinking, hey, maybe we can make something happen. Where's red team? Well, they're kind of, sort of in the same area. Fizz is kind of in dangerous ground, but he's a slippery little character in more ways than one. Maybe he will be safe. Although they did see him, they've pinged it. They're kind of working their way around to try to make something happen. They don't find him. Ezreal has decided to go off to blue buff, and all of a sudden there's a fight here. What's going on? Well, it's 3v4 mid, because Ezreal and Mordekaiser are elsewhere. Kog'Maw is bottom. My ultimate gets interrupted by a very well-timed Pulverize. Is anybody dying? Well, they've lost Vlad. We're losing... Oh, they've lost Alistar. Is Fizz going to die? Nope. Fizz looks like he's gotten away. Is Nocturne hanging around? Oh, he's not hanging around. We've got a Mordekaiser standing in the middle of us. Miscue has the Mordekaiser ult on him, but he looks like he's pretty safe. He misses the hook. He walks back in, and Ezreal surprises him. Oh, dear. We've lost Miscue. Rest in peace, our dear favorite moderator. Rest in peace. But hey, you know what? Guess what happened? Kog'Maw took a turret bottom, although it would have been nice if he was middle. And we managed to kill 2 people for 1 loss. That worked out pretty good for us on blue team. Not the best, but here's kind of what happened. Here's what went wrong for blue team. Where were they? Well, it was 3v4 for the longest time because Ezreal decided that blue buff was more important than anything else. Mordekaiser has actually died while we were looking elsewhere. We're now chasing down Shen, and Ezreal is kind of looking to pick up an easy Galio kill. He gets a Q off. He misses his Mystic Shot. He gets the Ignite, but it's not enough because I'm freaking Galio. I can just bulwark myself and get healing because I'm awesome like that. I don't die. Ignite is wasted. And it's just madness. There's no real cohesion, rhyme, or reason to anything that is going on. But we sort of kind of have a little bit of grouping from red, except that everybody has gone back and Nocturne's off by himself. Not exactly the safest position for Nocturne, but then blue team isn't really doing much to stop him. So, what does anybody care? Somebody finally pings for Nocturne to go back. Give him that word of advice. You know, it's dangerous to be alone. We've heard that phrase before. Where? Well, we've heard it at the start of this show. Good warding from this Thresh. He's throwing wards all over the place. He throws the lantern down to help Nocturne. Nocturne fails to grab it. Impressive play from Nocturne. This Vlad is a little bit out of position. Actually, he's very much out of position now. 4 of the enemy team coming in to attack. There is the Galio ultimate. Thresh pulls Vlad around, almost out of the Galio ultimate, but not quite. Battle is joined. It's 4v4. Mordekaiser a little bit late to the fight. Where is Fizz? Fizz is just now arriving. Thresh has died a horrible, painful death, but then so has Vladimir. The fish goes on Shen. That was an odd choice, but Mordekaiser drops. Fizz also drops. People are dying left and right. Is Alistar going to die? Yes, I have picked him up, and Nocturne inexplicably ults on top of the person who is most likely to kill him. Nocturne dies. I am trying to make something happen. I get the damage down on Ezreal. I've got him slowed. Can he escape Kog'Maw? No, he cannot. Is Kog'Maw going to get Shen? He flashes forward. He gets the slow. And we have another humongous mess of a fight that did not make any sense whatsoever. What happened here? Well, if you were paying attention before the fight, Mordekaiser was late to arrive, so at the very start of the fight, it was a 4v3. And then after Mordekaiser arrived, Fizz arrived, and so it was still kind of a 5v4-ish. Things didn't work out for blue. Why? Not because red is a good team. Let's be clear here. Red is playing pretty bad. There's no team cohesion worth mentioning here for the most part. But they're at least ever so slightly better at grouping than blue team at the moment. There's at least 4 of them whenever there's 3 of the enemy, and because of that, they've had these ever so tiny advantages in team fights. They start off on the right foot, and they're able to win the fights, ever so slightly having an advantage. So now we see that blue team is trying to push back against red team, but it's starting to get a little bit more even. The gold gap has shrunk to 2,000 gold. There's 19 to 20 kills. Blue team is actually behind in kills. A little bit of a skirmish happening mid, and all of a sudden, blue team is racing to make something happen, but these very well-placed wards by Miscue have saved the day. Red team knows to back away. People actually paid attention to wards. Oh my goodness. That is amazing. That's a first for solo queue right there. People paid attention to wards. Blue team is grouped, and now what's happening? Well, I'm pushing top. I've got teleport. That's fine. Fizz wants to take blue, but guess who's arrived? It's Shen and Ezreal, but Fizz sneaks away. Now, what should blue team do right now? What is blue team's goal? Well, I'm top. Fizz just got the beating of his life. It's 3v3 mid, and there are 2 people in easy range of making something happen mid. What should blue team do? Blue team should push the ever-loving hell out of this turret right now before Fizz can recall and make anything happen. Maybe Shen, who's low on health, can chase Fizz a little bit, keep him on his toes, and then always ult in to help a fight. That would be excellent. That would be the pro play. That would be super awesome. What is blue team going to do? All of blue team is turning around to chase down Fizz. Fizz is running for his life as all of blue team chases. I've been able to take this turret for free. Red team's just like, oh, whatever, we can push out now. Who cares? They're all chasing Fizz. Fizz runs into this bush. He's recalling, will blue team find him? Shen's very close. Alistar's very close. Mordekaiser's close. No, they've turned around. They don't see him. They don't know where he is. The entire blue team turned around, gave up this turret to not even get a kill. And guess who sees what's going on at Dragon? Red team. Why? Red team has had very consistent ward coverage thanks to the effort of Miscue. I'm actually in absolutely no danger top lane. I didn't get any damage on this turret, but I forced blue team to come to this turret. No big deal. Vladimir did get our bottom turret, but look at where things are now. Look at where things are now. The kills haven't changed, but because we were able to pick up turrets and farm, the gold gap has completely evaporated. There is less than a 100 gold difference between these 2 teams. And red team is actually ever so slightly grouped up. How has red team achieved this? How have they done it? They've just been slightly better than blue team at being grouped up and at making things happen. The one time this blue team was actually grouped up at all, the one time they were going to make things happen, that's the one time they actually got distracted by a low health fish and chased a red herring. They just ran off in the wrong direction. They gave up an easy turret, possibly an easy inhibitor, to try to kill possibly the least useful person on red team. I don't mean to rag too much on this Fizz, but let's be clear, he fed the crap out of Vladimir and caused problems for everybody. In any case, there are wards all over the place. Red team knows what's up. They've got wards. They know blue team's all in this area. They're not going to run in and do anything horribly stupid. Nobody's particularly grouped up for red team at the moment, but as long as they don't get caught out of position, everything will be fine. Blue team is kind of splitting up a little bit now. It's not clear where. Well, Alistar was actually going to ward Baron. That's actually a very good move on his part. Is he warding this bush? No, he does not have wards for that bush. He's just kind of sitting in there. And all of a sudden, red team is actually grouped up again, except for Fizz. Fizz is lagging behind. What's going to happen here? Well, Kog'Maw is a little tiny bit out of position. He takes some damage from Ezreal. Shen taunts in, does not get to Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw gets knocked back. He gets the bulwark. Ezreal pulled into the Galio ultimate by Thresh. Crazy things happening. There's the box. Who is dead? Vlad is dead. Who else is dead? Kog'Maw's dead. Kog'Maw lands his ultimate on a bunch of people. But his ghost goes to Mordekaiser. Is Alistar going to fall? The Righteous Gust picks him up. I'm still alive by some miracle. Down goes Shen to Fizz. Will Fizz survive? No, the bulwark was not enough to save him. Can we take out Mordekaiser? Yes, we can. And what's happened? We've aced blue team. Why did we ace blue team? Because we were grouped up. we were just ever so slightly better grouped up so that when things started happening here, we were in a position to make things happen. Let's rewind and just take a look. Back here at the 31, 22-minute mark, what's going on? Well, blue team's grouped up, but they're spreading out. Nothing major is being accomplished by them at the moment. They're only kind of half-heartedly pushing forward. Ezreal is trying to steal our red buff. He has this strange fixation with our buffs when he could be pushing turrets. Push the turret, then get the buff. Kind of a better move in a lot of cases. And all of a sudden, what's happening? Well, let's see what happens here. Let's look at what happens when this Kog'Maw's out of position. Look at where blue team's positioning is. Mordekaiser's way over here. He's kind of not in a great position to make things happen. Nobody on blue team really has a straight line to this Kog'Maw. Shen can taunt over the wall, but if Kog'Maw moves, it's not going to really get anything done. Whereas red team, I'm kind of a little bit to the back. This Fizz is really out of position, but what happens? Well, by the time they react to this Kog'Maw, what's the position of things? Vladimir is still not in a straight line position to do anything about this. He has to work his way around. He'd have to go through the team. There's a nice cluster of people here protecting Kog'Maw. Shen has wasted his taunt, does not get it on Kog'Maw. The way that Kog'Maw runs is brilliant because it's straight towards Fizz. Fizz has a straight line into the action. Mordekaiser has still not even arrived. Falling back this way has worked out very well for the red team. There goes the Galio ultimate. And right now, this has just become a huge mess. Right at the start of the fight, how are things going for blue team? Well, pretty much all of them have taken some damage. Ezreal is in dire straits, so is Kog'Maw. However, Kog'Maw's ghost is not going to help Mordekaiser until he finally explodes, allowing him to get a lot of damage down on everybody. And this is just a giant mess, of course. Thresh has managed to escape. Nocturne is doing a bunch of damage. He falls, but then so does Alistar. And this fight just went very poorly for blue team. Why? Because red team was just a little bit better at grouping. Just slightly. Ever so slightly. It's not even close. Not even close, just slightly. So, was that a mess? It was a fantastic mess. Nobody was doing anything they should have been doing for pretty much the entire 16 minutes we watched them. Right at the start, what should have they been doing? Should have been putting down wards, should have been grouping, should have been making things happen. Blue team had the lead, 3,500 gold lead at the 16, 17-minute mark. That's a good lead. That's the kind of lead you can win games on. That's the kind of lead that when you watch a professional level game, the casters are like, this is a significant lead for TPA or whoever the heck it is. Team Curse may not be able to come back from this. That's what they say. That's the kind of thing that goes on. It's tension, because that kind of a lead is significant. But when you just kind of mess around and don't make anything happen, that kind of lead can disappear. Just vanish. Just goes away. And that's what happened. Every time blue team grouped, they didn't accomplish anything. Every time red team grouped, it wasn't good. It was like 4 of them, kind of, 3 to 4. But because they were just better at grouping than blue team, they weren't even good at grouping. They were just slightly better. They were the ones who eventually beat the snot out of blue team. And in fact, if you want to look at what happens in the end of the game, here's how it looks at the end of the game. We're at 39 minutes. Look at the lead. Where'd the lead go? The lead is all red teams. They've caught, guess who out of position again? The Vladimir. Is he trying to escape? He's trying to escape. Doesn't matter. The Galio ultimate locks him in. He uses his ultimate. Did he kill anybody? No! He was utterly and completely useless because his only prerogative this whole time has been to push. Thresh, not at all afraid of Shen. Why? His whole team's there. Let's just murder them. Where was blue team? Was blue team grouped? Blue team wasn't grouped at all. Where's red team? Red team's grouped. What's going on? Fizz actually managed to kill Mordekaiser on his own. That's something of a miracle. Does Fizz die? Is he going to die to Alistar? No, he dodges the pulverize. He manages to escape. This is a complete disaster for blue team. Red team wins. Look at that nonsense. Did red team have any right to win this game? Well, arguably, if blue team had been paying attention, had known that, hey, look, it's the freaking mid-game, let's go push and make things happen, it was their game to win. They could have just won. Did they win? No, because they let red team group up and make things happen. Victory for red team. So, you don't really have a lot of control over the people you play with when you're solo queue or even duo queue. And so sometimes you're going to yell and kick and scream at people to group together. and be like, guys, we need to group. Stick together. Don't go out alone. You're going to tell them those things. They're not going to listen to you, and that's going to be frustrating. But if you can make your team group up better than the opposing team, even when you're behind, even when they're the ones who've already made things happen, and even though statistically speaking, they should be the ones winning the game, if you just group up a little bit better than them, if you just have a little bit of faith that you can possibly make things happen, and if you happen to have the benefit that they're running a double AP comp and you're running Galio, you can possibly turn it around and win. This is solo queue. Remember, they're not professional teams like M5 or Azubu Blaze or anything like that. These are teams that are not going to have that cohesion, and you can exploit that. Sometimes you will group up and it will be an enemy pentakill. That happens. Some games are just hopeless like that. But you have to at least try once. That's my point. That's my point. So that's the second replay, and that means it's time to give away yet another Riot Point code. We're going to see who the lucky winner is this time. And if you are all prepared, I have yet another question. Boo, Monte, boo. What's this boo Monte going on? What is your problem, Armoric? I do not understand. Question is incoming. Get your thinking caps on. Get your encyclopedic knowledge out. I can totally talk. Did I give up? Did I call surrender votes? I did not in that game. You can actually probably go watch it in the Twitch log. You can hear me complaining about how the game is probably hopeless. But again, you know, there was a lead. But anyway, I did not call for a surrender vote. We can go back and look over this. There is verifiable proof. In any case, I have a question for all of you, and here it is. And this is a tough one. They're getting harder as we go. Which champion was released on April Fool's Day? Which champion was released on April Fool's Day? There is only one champion, and the fat guy from Lost has it. The fat guy from Lost. I don't know who that is. I never watched Lost. I don't watch that much TV. I play all this League of Legends. But yes, it was Lee Sin the Blind Monk. I will be sending you this code through Twitch's messaging system so that I can, you know, be sure that you get it. Hurley, the guy from Lost. Oh. So in any case, the fat guy from Lost has successfully won the third Riot Point code. So those are the three people who have won so far. I am now going to open up the floor to questions, and after this final Q&A session, which I like to do customarily at the end of my show, I will give out the fourth and final one. So if you have any questions whatsoever, I will be happy to entertain them. If you ask extremely personal questions, I may not be inclined to answer them, but in any case, I will be happy to answer any questions you may ask. I know there were some questions that were coming up during the stream. I don't know if the person asking them is still with us. Maybe they have drifted off somewhere. I'm not sure. But if somebody has one, I'm going to look back through because I know there were some questions. What do you think about Nami? Well, what I think about Nami is I think she actually has a lot of potential. I think she's not seen as much love as she should have. I think part of that is because landing her Q skill shot is actually a little hard. You have to be a little thoughtful about it. It's not like a Blitz hook or a Leona hook where you just have this easy line in order to hit it. It's a little circle, and so you have to guess where they're going to be, and that makes it a little hard. And it's also a little hard to harass with your W if you don't have good support from your AD. If you've got a nice duo lane, like a duo partner, and you really have faith in them that they're going to be there to support you as a support, then it's really safe, it's really effective, it's really fun. But if you're with some random guy who's like bad, and you're like, oh my god, I can't trust this guy, what am I going to do? You kind of don't have that, and that makes her a lot worse. But I think she's good, and I think that she could see competitive play, but she just hasn't been explored because people are just more comfortable with picks like Sona and Zyra and stuff like that, who have very, very good AoE utility, very much like Nami. But I think she's very good. She's certainly not Karma. I am talking about Nami. So I've got some other questions. Why do I feed so much? Obviously because I'm terrible at this game. I'm not really terrible, I'm just excited. I like diving in. And because I like diving in, my favorite roles are actually jungling. I'm a really big fan of jungling, and I'm also a really big fan of assassin characters. My favorite assassin character is Akali, actually. I have a jungle guide for her, in fact. I've maintained it for over 2 years. I've pretty much as long as there's been Akali, I've been jungling her. And so I like to mix my favorites that way, but I also play her top and mid and other places. So that's my favorite role. I actually was jungling for a team that managed to get ranked platinum last season, barely. It was pretty cool. Wasn't a very good. We weren't the best team. We had a lot of cohesion problems, and we played like once a month, but it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I love being in the thick of things, and so I like playing junglers and assassins. I love playing very supporty characters, generally speaking, or assassins. I either like murdering people or helping people murder people. Rengar or Kha'Zix? I actually like Rengar a little better. He fits my style a little bit more, because I do like just being a big, beefy guy in the middle of everything, and he's fun. I like him because I feel he's a little bit better at just be like like Kha'Zix has really, really good burst damage, and he's actually a lot more overpowered than Rengar right now. But you can't really build Kha'Zix tanky and be as effective. I mean, you can get him like Warmogs and Brutalizer and be really good and like murder people, but I like Rengar for that a little bit better. That's just my personal preference. Kha'Zix is probably actually a better champion. He gets banned all the time in professional play for a reason. I just prefer Rengar. I also like jumping out of bushes at people and being able to keep doing it. That's always a heck of a lot of fun. I do read the chat sometimes, but when I'm in the middle of a show, I try to avoid getting sidetracked because that generally detracts from actually accomplishing what I'm trying to accomplish and make my points. My favorite support, asked by Hannah McKay. My favorite support right now is Thresh. Before Thresh, I'd say that my favorite support would probably be... who would my favorite support be? I really like a good Alistar. A good Alistar is really an awesome support. He has some good sustain. He has really, really good initiation, and late in the game he can just be like in there. Leona does a lot too, but I just like Alistar. I like old school, going all the way back. Is Nid a good jungler? You know, I actually haven't tried jungling her yet. I'm still going through all of the junglers to try to make them work. Let's see, what other questions? I know I'm missing a few. I missed a few questions. Do I give private lessons? I haven't really given private lessons before. I mean, I help MissQ out a lot. I mean, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I have my email. It's montegomerylol@gmail.com. If you want to add me in game and ask me questions, go right ahead. I have a wide open friends list because I have no friends. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I'll help you out if I'm around and not busy. Feel free. Let's see. Should you jungle pre-30? I wouldn't jungle before level 20 unless you really, really are interested in it, because it's hard before you have a lot of mastery points and before you have tier 3 runes. You really need, at minimum, like tier 3 armor runes to really have a good time in the jungle. Unless like you love just jungling fiddlesticks all the time, and even then it's really hard in the new jungle if you don't have tier 3 runes. So I'd wait till level 20. Once you're level 20, you can make things happen. Otherwise, just you're good just not jungling until then. Especially because players below level 20 just aren't really good enough to deal with 1v2 lanes. It's a little rough. So let's see, who's my favorite AP champion? That would be Akali, if you'd mean not AP Assassin. My favorite AP champion would then be Malzahar. Malzahar was the champion that convinced me to like actually play the game a whole lot. I started off right before the Malzahar patch, and he came out, and I tried him the next free week, and I was just like, yes! Which is really funny, because Malzahar was horrifically bad at that point. I mean, he had like 475 range in his ultimate. Like, that's less than pretty much any spell that any AP has. Just really, that was horrible. Now it's like 700 range, but back then it was horrifically short. He was a terrible champion, and I loved playing him. And he's been my favorite ever since. My thoughts on Cho'Gath mid. Cho'Gath mid is very, very brutal for a lot of champions because it's so hard to just deal with his sustain. If he can last hit, he just like keeps healing, and what are you gonna do? Well, you throw your mana at him, and then you're out of mana, and he's fine. So, not really the best idea to like try to fight him. So he's really good. There are some matchups, people with repeatable damage, that can be a problem for him. Not many. Lee Sin carrying from 1300. If you're good with Lee Sin, you can carry really well. He can make crazy plays, even if your team is bad. He does a lot of damage. You can counter jungle the crap out of an opponent if you're good. So if you feel confident in your ability with Lee Sin, or just want to get good with him, 1300s, he's perfectly good for carrying your way out of that. Even I can carry 1300 games with jungle Lee Sin, and I practically never play him. So you can certainly do so. Who is better, Kog'Maw or Miss Fortune? Miss Fortune is currently overpowered right now. Her ultimate, when combined with like Black Cleaver and Last Whisper and like a Bloodthirster, is absolutely devastating to a team in organized play. She's very, very strong early because she has that health, her healing reduction with her W. She's got good harass, she's got a slow. She's very potent, and she's so hard to hit with skill shots because she's zipping around all over the place. She's stronger than Kog'Maw to a large extent right now, but maybe if the meta shifts, Kog'Maw will get better. He's still a very good champion. You saw he managed to do a pretty good job fighting and carrying in that game we just watched. Good times for him. So it's about 9:01, and I'll keep letting you ask questions. But before we get too distracted with questions, I'm actually going to give away the last Riot Point card because it's been an hour and I don't want to keep too many people too long. I do enjoy having you with me. I've very much enjoyed letting you know about my show. If you can just spread the word, I'm not bribing you at all, but if you could just spread the word, let people know that every week, same time, same place, I am trying to help you improve, that would be great. Are you allowed to answer again for more Riot Points? I would prefer not. I think I'm going to avoid giving out 2 cards to the same person, but if you want to answer for brownie points and just for egotism, you can go right ahead. But I'm going to try to give it out to somebody else. You never answered yet, you can keep answering. So we're going to go with the final question. Get your thinking caps on. Get your encyclopedia knowledge up. Look up LolWiki. You can go ahead and do that. That's not cheating because some people might know right offhand. The final question is about to arrive, and here it is. Here it is. Which letter of the alphabet does not appear in any champion's name? Which letter of the alphabet does not appear in any champion's name? We have brownie points for the fat guy from Lost and PK Slayer Bro, but I see Dangboy as the first person to get it right who has not already won. The letter Q is, in fact, the only letter that is not in any champion's name whatsoever. There are no champions with a Q. Not at the start, not at the end, not in the middle. Is Snickum mad? What is Snickum talking about? I don't know. There is nonsense. So close. Oh, is that what's going on? Was he right behind? Oh, he was so very close. Well, Snickum, if it makes you feel better, you got 25 Riot Points in my heart. Anyway, Dangboy is the last person to get one of these. I will be giving them out once we're done asking and answering questions. Dangboy has the hacks, apparently. All of them have the hacks. I don't care. So thank you all for watching. I'm gonna keep answering questions as long as people are asking them. So I'm scrolling back up here, and congratulations to the lucky winners. Anybody who is only here for the money can now be free to go. We have a question: do I use the tribunal? Occasionally I do. Every so often I feel in a benevolent mood and feel like going out there and issuing judgment on people. And not often, though. I do it about as much now as I did when it actually gave influence points. I didn't really care about influence points for the most part because I've been playing so long. I pretty much always have enough influence points for anything I want. It's not a big deal. I think the tribunal is very important, though. I'm glad it exists. It's really helped. I don't know if you guys were around before it existed, but the difference it made is huge. If you think things are bad now with levers and rage and stuff, oh my god. Before there was the tribunal, before there was Lever Buster, things were so much worse. Do I think Hecarim should get a buff? I do not. I think he's fine as it is. If you build Lizard Elder and Frozen Fist on him and just get some health, he totally kicks butt. He can carry like crazy. I don't think he needs a buff at all. What other questions might I be missing right now? Ranked? How do I get prepared for ranked? The only things I do to prepare for ranked, I have a couple things I do to practice. I practice my last hitting by just going into a custom game by myself, and for about 5 or 10 minutes, I'll just practice last hitting. If I'm feeling particularly mean, I will not even use AD runes or anything like that. I'll start with like no AD or boots or anything like that. That makes it harder. That makes you have to use a much smaller window, which generally helps you be better at it when you actually do have the AD. The other thing I do is for jungling, I always practice my roots. I actually have a text document with all the basic setups for all the champions that I know how to jungle in case I forget a detail here or there. And I practice occasionally when I want to use a jungler. I'll practice them in a custom game just to make sure I have a good sense for them. And I do it without a leash, because if you practice without a leash, it helps you have a better sense of the durability of your jungler. It helps you to really learn the ins and outs, because when you have a leash, you can mask problems with a jungler that only come up later when you're just clearing on your own. So those are the things I do to prepare for ranked. Otherwise, I dive right in because there's no time like the present. Occasionally, after a ranked game that was particularly close or difficult, I'll analyze the replay, but otherwise, that's what I do. In terms of jungle times, junglers can pretty much gank any time after like 2 minutes and 30 seconds top. If they want to just do a quick level 2 gank, like they're a Lee Sin, 2 minutes and 20 seconds is about when they'll have finished killing the red buff, which means within 15 seconds they can be in your lane. This is why a lot of top lane openings are actually starting with a ward now. They're doing stuff like boots and a ward, or a rejuvenating bead and a ward and potions and stuff like that, because having that ward means you're safe. You know if the jungler's coming, you don't have to worry about those first 3 minutes or whatever. You're good, you can just relax, get your creep score on, and be safe. So generally junglers will appear like right after they get level 2, at about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. They'll appear right after they get level 3, which is closer to about 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Or they'll appear after they hit level 4, which is around 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So think about those minute intervals, and that's when the danger is. Let's see. How do I feel about melee AD carries? I think they have more potential now than they did, but only really in a ranged play where you've got people getting crucibles and stuff to help cleanse you of any crowd control. Crowd control is a big deal, and unless the enemy is completely lacking it, it's a bad time to be an AD carry. Let's see, what else? Looking through the questions. Am I doing anything to get more popular? Well, I did have this giveaway today. I'm going to try to advertise every week now in general discussion on the LOL forum and on Reddit, and hopefully people will start appreciating what I'm trying to do. Maybe I'll get more upvotes. Maybe slowly I'll build a player base of people who like to watch me. I'm not expecting to be one of those people that gets 1,000 people watching. I had about 20 to 30 people today. That was fantastic. That made me happy and excited. Even if it's only the 20 or 30 of you, I was streaming when there were 7 people watching me, so I'm going to keep trying, and we'll see what happens. If you want to tell your friends, go right ahead. I would appreciate that. I should do a game with the 4 winners. Maybe I'll do that sometime. Let's see, what else is going on? What are the jungle timers for Red, Blue, and Baron? Well, Blue and Red spawn every 5 minutes after they're cleared. So after you've cleared them the first time, and you've gone back to clear them again, it starts to get a little hazy because you may not be there right when it spawned. And so you really have to pay attention to when you kill them in order to keep track of that timer. Wards can help prevent letting your enemy steal them from under your nose. It's very, very good to have wards, as always. Let's see what else is going on. Yes, top is my worst lane. So that I cannot give you advice as to specific matchups or good champions to learn. Generally, I hear that Olaf and Jax are very easy comparatively to other champions. Olaf especially. Olaf is pretty overpowered. Whenever I play AD and I see the enemy pick Olaf, I'm just like, well, that's going to be fun. That's what it's like every time. Every time I see Olaf picked, that's how it goes. Just horrible. Horrible. I hate Olaf. But he's a good champion. He's a good champion. Any community playdates? I haven't set that up yet. I do have Twitter, and if I feel like doing that, maybe I'll tweet and say, hey, who wants to play with me? I want to play. It'll be fun. Let's see. I have a face to make fun of. Awesome. Funny clips on the internet. What is my general streaming schedule? I've tried to have a streaming schedule, but I'm very bad about that. The only streaming schedule I have is that every Monday at 8 p.m. Central, that's 6 West Coast, 9 East Coast, I stream the show. The rest of the time, it's kind of whenever I happen to be playing ranked with MissQ, or if I feel like it. I do stream some stuff I do on Fridays. I'm a big participant in the Team Liquid LOL subforum. There's a lot of great people there. And we try to test out really crazy ideas on Fridays, and I tend to stream that. And it tends to be kind of crazy, inane, and silly. So if you like watching that, I tend to be streaming then. So am I missing? Have I missed any questions? I'm trying. Can I add you as a friend? You can certainly add me as a friend. I will accept any random friend request, even if I have no idea who I am. Am I rich? Well, I am actually well employed. I'm single, employed. I work 40 hours a week, so I'm not rich, but I make enough money to play League of Legends in my spare time. Anyway, how did I get this awesome beard? Well, I got it by growing it. I'm actually I am not very young. I'm actually turning 29 in March. Turning 29 in March. So being old has its advantages, and so that means I can grow a beard. All going downhill from here, yes. As I get older, I'm going to become really, really, really like bad at the game. It's like I will only get worse as I go down. 10 years from now, it'll be Mondays with geriatric Monte. It'll be horrible. Anyway, I got this beard by being old. But, you know, the funny thing is, mine is the least impressive beard in my family. My brother, he has a far more impressive beard, and my dad has a really, really impressive beard. My dad's beard was so impressive. My dad's a very athletic guy. He runs I don't know if you're familiar with turkey trots, races on Thanksgiving morning to burn calories before you stuff yourself later in the day. Well, my dad lives in the cold north, and it was a very cold Thanksgiving one year, and when he finished the race, he just had this magnificent beard of icicles, and he got his picture in the paper because of that. It was absolutely hilarious. My dad actually dresses. I mean, when I remember growing up, he always had these like red plaid shirts, but he was a software engineer. But he'd have these red plaid shirts, and he looked like a lumberjack. Really fit guy. In any case, that's how I got this awesome beard. I have good genetics from my dad. Unfortunately, I actually got the least awesome beard genetics in my family. That's how it goes. Yep, my Smurf is Monte. That's who I use to play with MissQ because MissQ is not a 16 to 1900 ELO player. That's unfortunate, but maybe eventually my Smurf will surpass my main and then I'll feel really weird and awkward. But that's how it goes. I'm Monty, that's my Smurf, Montgomery's my main. I have been playing so much ranked with Miscue that I've actually ELO decayed a lot on my main. It's kind of sad. But eventually I'll get back to playing on that. So, if there are no more questions, that will be the show. I'd like to thank again everybody for coming to watch. I know a lot of you came here under the lure of mammon and greed, but I appreciate you coming nonetheless. I try to avoid raging as much as possible. Just going to digress. I try to avoid raging because raging doesn't accomplish anything. I mean, I will express my frustration with plays. I will say, "My God, what was that? What is this person doing?" And I will occasionally make exclamations of wonderment and bewilderment at things that Miscue does. But generally, I don't really get angry, and that's important because if you can be excited, you can be annoyed even at people, but as long as your head's still in the game, and as long as you're not really mad and you just accept that these people are going to be your best buddies for the next 10 or 20 minutes, you can get through games a lot better. Having that positive attitude is very, very important. Miscue has a tendency to run at the enemy randomly for no reason. Do I play games with people who watch this? Well, up until now, most of my audience has been people on forums that I frequent, places like Elitist Jerks and Team Liquid, so in that regard, yes. But I'm always welcome to have viewers add me on their friends list. I will try and play with you as well. I'm always happy to play with people. I love playing with people. It's always a lot more fun than just playing by yourself. So feel free to add me, either my Smurf or my main, or both. I will accept anybody if they want help or if they want to play. Any other questions happening? I don't see any further questions. It is now getting... Wow, we're 15 minutes past the hour. That's crazy. I have 4 people that I need to send riot points to. These crazy people, I hope they remember that I'm sending them through Twitch chat. That would definitely be good. When there will be RP questions, I think you're a little late. The show started an hour and 15 minutes ago. Unfortunately, that means that the Riot Point giveaway is over. This show is now over. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Thank you very much. I will be here again next week, 8 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. on Pacific Time, 9 p.m. East Coast. I hope you will join me. I'll try to help you out again. Maybe you can learn. And I'm so sorry, Kazalkhan, you arrived too late. I am so sorry. In any case, have a good evening, everyone, and I will see you next week.